Newtown Creek is New York City's largest wastewater treatment plant, and the way I describe our project is we have found a gas well in the middle of Brooklyn, right? The feedstock is just not a fossil fuel, it's us. And they currently flare somewhere between 600 to 800 million cubic feet of biogas per year. So they flare a gas that's 60% methane. So the genesis of this project goes back to 2009. There was a couple of our engineers working with city engineers, and at that time, the mandate was, from Bloomberg was Plan NYC. How do you make New York City the most sustainable city in the world? And one of our engineers said, no, it's a crime. And I said, I agreed. I said, why are you flaring gas at 60% methane? And Bob was talking about it. Brooklyn Union was the first utility in the country that cleaned gas from landfills. So we had that intellectual capital inside of our company to figure out how to do this. So we said, let's do Newtown Creek. What has really evolved, which has been actually an interesting, and is that originally it was one feedstock. It was digested gas. Now the second feedstock is being added, which is food waste. So we expect this project to be operational next year, end of 2016. And like I said, it's been a long journey. We started in 2009. So we're looking at that project as a proof of concept that you can actually do this. So we're trying to do this from the natural gas industry. And actually, we are working with other utilities in the country to stimulate this industry and make this a reality. Biogas, if you put a digester gas and you put food waste in there, the gas that's produced is called biogas. That's a technical term for a gas that's 60% methane, 40% CO2. When I use the term renewable gas, I mean pipeline quality gas. So when you turn your oven on, you see that blue flame, and well, that's natural gas. But what's natural gas? It's the gas, the blue flame that you're looking at is 90 to 95% methane. The rest of it is other hydrocarbons. It could be like ethane, butane, propane, but it's mostly methane. So from a utilities perspective, and the project that we're actually working on, that Charles will talk about, Long Island Compost, is from a utilities perspective, we want to put what we call, our interconnection agreement. We want to make sure that the gas is coming into our system is being monitored, is looking at the quality, and we have all the alarms set up to make sure that the gas is pipeline quality. Now, like I said, we've been doing this in Staten Island for more than 30 years, so we know how to do this. And one of the lessons that we have learned is that no two projects are alike, because every project has different feedstocks, and also is where you put the gas in, from an engineering perspective, from a utilities perspective, it has a big impact. So Staten Island is going to a very high pressure line. The Newtown Creek is going to a 60-pound line, which, there's an opportunity to mix the gas with other sources. But the Long Island project is actually at the end of a pipeline. So the gas has to be really monitored to make sure that it's compatible with the other gas that's coming in. So that was the second point. The third point is, I'll just talk about, public policy and where it's at. If you take the food waste today from an anaerobic digester, whatever it is, Newtown, and that gas, biogas, upgrade it to pipeline quality gas, you put it through a generator, and as Joanna was talking about, the way the laws work, that gas is considered renewable energy, right? You get credits, you get incentives. You take that same gas, instead of putting it through a generator, now you heat with it. It's no longer renewable, which absolutely makes no sense. How does it make sense that you take the gas, you generate electricity with it, it's considered renewable, but if you cook or you heat with it, it's not? And if you trace this back, the genesis of all these incentives, they were all written by power generators. So we're trying to level the playing field and just saying, hey, that doesn't make sense. A few years ago, your only option was to generate electricity. So project developers were moving towards generation because that's where the incentives are. Now, there is also the transportation sector, and that changed under what's called RFS, EPA's Renewable Fuel Standard. So if you take that gas, you can generate with it, you get incentives, but if you also put it into the transportation sector, you get really attractive incentives. So the most economically attractive incentives today are under EPA's RFS program. And if you take the gas from landfills, wastewater treatment plants, or food waste, you qualify what are called as D3 RINs. RINs is a renewable identification number. It's essentially a renewable energy certificate. And it's known as cellulosic RINs, which means they're the most attractive. They have the most economic value because they have the lowest carbon footprint. So if you generate RINs, and you take them to the trading desk of any oil company, they're obligated to buy them from you under this EPA RFS program.